WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on award-winning 95.9 WATD. Tim is filling in for Jesse today, so thank you, Tim, for coming in.
Oh, you're
I know
welcome.
you. It's a little bit of a challenge for you because you do everything you do, and I appreciate you coming in, getting up early, and being here. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Family cars. What is a family car today? You talk to people from all over the world. Family cars have kind of a different meaning. But with us is Zach Dole. He is the editor and vehicle testing guy for the auto team at U.S. News and World Report. Zach, welcome back to the Car Doctor program.
Hey, thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
What is a family car? I mean, I talk to people from Europe sometimes, and a family car to them is like a Volkswagen Jetta. We can do everything we need to do. We can put them in a Jetta, but you talk to people here sometimes in the U.S. and they're like, an Expedition isn't big enough. What is a family car?
Yeah, certainly the definition changes. It can be many things to many different people, which is why this year we've expanded our categories in the Best Cars for Families award. We now span 14 different categories, so that we think there's something for everyone, whether that be a hybrid sedan, a compact SUV, or a full-size pickup truck. We think there really is something for everyone, and really we're just trying to key in on four things. Is it safe? Is it reliable? Does it have a lot of space and convenience features? And is it comfortable? So if you tie all those things together, you end up with a pretty good family vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at, sort of the winners in the SUV category, and almost kind of a standout because it's a little bit different is the Honda Passport, because it's really just a two-row SUV. And sometimes you think, well, it's a pretty good-sized vehicle, 2 rows, but 2 rows mean 5 people and plenty of room for their stuff.
Absolutely. Passports is one of my favorites on that list for that reason, because if you have a lot of luggage you're bringing with you, maybe the dog, maybe some, camping gear and stuff, just throw it back there, and you can still have all the people in the second and first rows, no problem. It's just a great stuff hauler. Fold those rear seats down, and you can pretty much move an entire studio apartment if you want. It's a really great option on that list, and especially in that midsize 2-row SUV category that kind of keeps growing. We see a new entry every couple of years.
And you talked about moving a studio apartment. I remember a family used to be categorized as like 2.3 kids and 1.24 dogs or something. Do different members of the team who have families try out the different vehicles to see which ones work the best for them?
Oh yeah, we're always testing these vehicles and seeing which has the best combination and what works and what doesn't. So the winners on this list aren't there by accident. We've either found some stuff we really, really liked on them, and the ones that are either finalists or don't make the list, we found a few things that didn't work. And there's actually a lot of data crunching that goes on behind the scenes here. So, winners in certain categories like the Passport that you mentioned, or the Palisade Hybrid, which is another winner in the 3-row hybrid SUV category, they offer better legroom and headroom dimensions for passengers than maybe some of the other vehicles. There's really a lot of number crunching. There's a lot of feature crunching as well. We try to think, okay, what do families actually want? Charge ports is a big one. Is there a charge port in every row, and how many? How easy is it to buckle in kids seats? How many advanced safety features does it have, and are they standard, like surround view camera systems, automatic emergency braking? So we really kind of tried to encompass everything into these awards to give you the best option overall.
Yeah, and I mean, you've been doing this for a bunch of years. I mean, there was a time where, when you looked at family vehicles, it really was just cup holders. How many cup holders do they have? And then cup holders became like juice box holders. But you're right. Now it really is PowerPoints. Because everybody seems to have a device with them. It's important. One of the vehicles I just recently road tested was the 2026 GMC Yukon, and that did really well in the large SUV category. And I think a lot of times we almost forget about GMC, but they make some pretty well-designed vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. The Yukon XL was our winner in the large SUV category, and the Acadia in the midsize 3-row. So two really well-rounded options. The GMCs always they occupy that like middle ground between like mainstream and then luxury. So it's sort of like a premium segment, and you do pay a little bit more for that, but you also get a lot more, especially in standard equipment and the creature comforts that we think a lot of families are really looking for. I may want just a basic SUV, but my wife, her top thing is heated seats. Does it have heated seats? And if not, it's off the list. Like there's a lot of things that as a family, you kind of, some things that you take for granted, someone might not. But for a lot of people, that stuff is super, super important.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody they refer to as the trifecta: heated seats, heated steering wheel, and remote start. And unless a vehicle had all three of those, they weren't really interested in it, because it was all about getting into it and being comfortable. And a friend of mine once said that it's as important to road test the tech as it is the car. And it really is true. The technology in cars today, the old days of, the radio was pretty basic and the heater controls were pretty basic. Now if you get into a car and you're not comfortable with the tech in it, that otherwise good car can be a very frustrating experience, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm always telling people who ask me that same thing, because if you're always kind of fighting with the system, you're never going to feel comfortable driving the vehicle. And the Accord and Accord Hybrid, one for our midsize and midsize hybrid segments, I would say Honda has done a really good job of keeping its tech fairly basic and user-friendly, but still fresh feeling, so it doesn't feel like you're driving a vehicle that's from 10 years ago. It still has good graphics and all the features you're wanting, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, satellite radio, but you still have physical controls. You can turn a knob and the HVAC, gets warmer or colder. Imagine that. So it's the touch screens are really cool, but man, if you're focusing on the road, focusing on the kids, trying to adjust the climate controls, it gets old pretty fast.
Yeah, I think 10 years ago, Honda did away with volume control and station control, and then the year after they came back with volume control, and then eventually moved to more physical buttons, and kind of away from the best cars for families. In your job, I'm sure a lot of people come up to you and say, "Hey, Zach, what do you think? What should I do this?" And do people ever really take your advice? I know they don't with me.
Yeah, that's I get so much joy out of that when people come up to me and ask me those questions. I love it. I could talk for hours on that stuff. I would say it's like a third of the time somebody does, and that's fine with me. I may say something and it might not resonate with you, or it's your money. Do what you want with it.
Do what you want. Exactly.
A friend of ours actually bought a Honda Civic Hybrid because I said, hey, this is a really great car. It's super efficient. And after they had told their previous car, and they weren't even looking at the Civic Hybrid, but I said, if it's just the two of you, check this out. And they went with it. And I get text messages from him every so often. People like, thank you. This is a great suggestion. So I'm sure you probably say the same thing. When people listen to you, it's just like, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, it really is. We talked earlier about trucks and the press association I belong to out here in New England, the New England Press Association. I remember years and years and years ago, we still do it today. We do something called the official winter vehicle of New England, and one year we picked the F-150 as the official winter vehicle, and some people said, "How can you possibly pick that as an official winter vehicle?" And I said, "Well, it happens to have not just four-wheel drive, but it has selectable all-wheel drive, and it's a four-door, so you can put families in it. You can carry a bunch of stuff in it, and you really can have pickup trucks that are family vehicles. And you picked, in my opinion, two of the best: the Tundra and the Ridgeline."
Yeah. So that was actually a new addition this year. We've previously stuck to more of the SUV car categories, but buying trends have shifted quite a lot, and vehicles so expensive now. A pickup truck is kind of the do-it-all machine for a lot of families. You get the big cab nowadays; everything seems to be a double cab, and then you get the bed on the back for weekend projects and all that. So we feel really strongly that we want to put people into family-friendly vehicles. Pickup trucks are just the logical option for a lot of families out there now. So the Ridgeline is our best mid-size pickup, and the Tundra is our best full-size pickup. And Tundra scores really well in crash safety and has a lot of standard features that some of the domestics, mainly because they're more focused on work trucks and their lower trims, they just don't offer a lot of those standard advanced safety features that the Tundra does.
And there was a time when you talked family vehicles, it was minivans. That's, it was a Caravan or Pacifica or Sienna or any one of those. That category is getting a little bit smaller, and the Kia Carnival was a winner in that category. And some people think it's an SUV, some people think it's a minivan. It's awfully universal and super handy.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had one a couple weeks ago in the press fleet, and it's fantastic. I loved it, and I'm pleased that we can give it an award this year. It's a great all-arounder, tons and tons of space. The driving experience is nice. That V6 has plenty of power, and there's just charging ports galore in there. If you can't find a port or they're all taken up, you got too many devices because it's just loaded. Kia Carnival is a great option.
Did you ever think that you would see so many Hyundais and Kias in these award categories as winners? I mean, I've been around for a long time, and I remember when Hyundai first came out with their $5,000 car, and everybody thought it was a throwaway and it wasn't even worth buying. And then Hyundai and both Kia have become really serious players and really pretty easy suggestions for people looking for new vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, totally. Like 15 years ago, I'm sure a lot of people thought, oh, I don't know about that. Hyundai Kia, maybe not the greatest reputation. They're making some of the most compelling vehicles on the market right now, and easily, quality levels that are up there with the best mainstream vehicle brands. So they just had this meteoric rise in what they're producing, and so that's why we feel really strongly about vehicles like the Tucson and the Palisade, the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 9 EVs. They're just really well-rounded vehicles that are in the past. Hyundai has put a ton of standard features into their vehicles, and they're still doing that at usually at prices lower than their competition. They've absolutely their place on this list doesn't surprise me anymore, just because the quality keeps getting better and better, and the value proposition stays very strong.
It really does. And you mentioned the Ioniq 9 and the Ioniq 5, and finalists in there, I guess, was probably a Ford Mustang Mach-E and a Kia EV9. Yep. Electric vehicles, love them or hate them, they're truly part of the fabric of the automobile today. And I'll say this until my last breath, probably. I think we now live in the second golden age of the automobile, where you can go out and you can buy a gas car or a turbocharged gas car, a diesel truck, a plug-in hybrid, a regular hybrid, a fully electric vehicle. There seems to be more choice than ever. And in the electric category, these are really good cars. The Ioniq 5, great little car. The Ioniq 9, you called it the best midsize electric SUV. Plenty of room, decent range. If you can find a high-speed charging station, great, quick to recharge, and for a lot of people, truly a replacement for gasoline cars, right?
Yeah, I mean these. It's kind of crazy how quickly EVs have become more of a mainstream choice. You just see so many of them on the road now, and the federal incentives have kind of made it a tougher sell, and a lot of manufacturers are pushing them right now. But as gas prices are rising up, I think a lot of people are going to be looking back at EVs and think, hey, maybe this is the future going forward. But yeah, Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 9 are great vehicles. I'm always impressed with the driving experience, smooth acceleration, comfortable ride. All the weight in those vehicles is low. And it's just, it does wonders for the handling and ride quality. And for EVs, it's always going to be, does it fit your lifestyle? Like every time I'd get an EV, I'm generally pretty pleased with the driving experience. But if you don't have convenient home charging, it's probably not going to fit your lifestyle. Relying on that DC fast charging, the public chargers, is going to get old kind of quickly. Certainly people do it, but I would caution against, relying on somebody else's power station for your charging. But if it works for you, great. I know it does for many people.
Yeah, and if a full electric isn't going to work, a plug-in hybrid, and like you said, I think it was a Hyundai Tucson plug-in hybrid and the Mazda CX-90 plug-in hybrid. Those, depending on your driving habits, you can charge up with the 120 volt outlet that might be on the side of your house. And in most cases, as long as you don't run it down to zero, you can, put that 30 or 40 or, maybe even 50 miles back in it on an overnight charge just with the 120 volts. And that might be the mix for you that's going to work.
Yeah, it's that best of both worlds scenario. You drive to work on all electric range, and then coming home, the gas engine kicks on or whatever, and you plug it in at night, and then the same thing in the morning. You can go back on EV range and visit the gas station like every other month. It almost seems like, but super convenient. And it's you never have that range anxiety that you may have with an electric vehicle. Like, oh my gosh, am I going to get home in time? You're always going to have the gas engine to fall back on and take you there.
Yeah, no, great choices. And on the site too, if go to usnews.com and the cars section, you look at best cars and trucks and best cars for families and all kinds of stuff. But it's also a shopping site where you can, if you decided, hey, that Hyundai Palisade hybrid is exactly what I'm looking for, click on the box that says find the best price. And I believe your site is powered by TrueCar, right?
Yep, it is.
Yep. Yeah. So you can look at multiple offers. You can do, you can kind of shop around each other and, do a little bit of online negotiation to find the best price. And as we've been reminded in the past, sometimes don't be shy about going a little outside of your zip code maybe, and sometimes you can get even a little bit better price, and your website allows you to do all that. You guys come up with a lot of lists over time. Can you give us a preview of what the next list is? Do you know yet?
We have Best Cars for Teens coming up in, I think, 2 months.
Okay.
We did Best Cars for the Money earlier this year.
Yep.
But yeah, we're working to expand it. So stay tuned. We'll have more for you.
Yeah. Well, Zach, I want to thank you for taking a little time out of your Sunday morning and joining us on the Car Doctor program. Always informative, and go check out the website usnews.com. Cars and trucks and all kinds of stuff there. Find out all kinds of information and great stuff to see.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, thanks, Zach. Take care. We need to take a break, pay some bills. My name's John Paul. This is a Car Doctor program. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Nissan Rogue that I've been driving around this week. A great little SUV. Didn't make the family car of the year with U.S. News, but we'll talk about it anyway. My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. You're listening on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at aaa.com/join. That's aaa.com/join.
Hi, this is David Boyle, Chairman of the Pembroke School Committee, and I'm putting on a charity event in honor of my wife to raise money for the Karen Boyle Memorial Scholarship Foundation. It is going to be held at Tiny & Sons, Route 53 in Pembroke, April 2nd from 6 to 8. It'll be a beer and wine tasting, a $10 ticket. There'll be raffles. There'll be prizes. Reach out if you have any questions, 617-312-0636. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Abigail Adams once famously said, "Remember the ladies," and that's what we'll do this Sunday evening at 8 o'clock here at WATD. I'm Joan Orr, and I'll be featuring fabulous females this Sunday between 8 and 9 here at 95.9 WATD.
Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program. And I wanted to thank Zach Dole from U.S. News for joining us. Always good to hear from the folks over there. The car that I've been driving around the last few days and seems like I've been taking a lot of runs to the airport, but I should become an Uber driver. No, I don't think I should. It's a 2026 and a half. So 2026 and a half Nissan Rogue Rock Creek Edition, which is essentially a dressed-up Rogue. This is for buyers who like the rugged look but don't actually need hardcore off-road vehicle. It's not a full redesign; it's more of a refresh. But it does look substantial. We'll put it that way. But it really sharpens the Rock Creek's image without changing what made the Rogue popular. And Rogue's a real popular vehicle. Tim and I were talking during the break about he had a Rogue once. He said, does it still have the CVT transmission? And it's kind of funny with that transmission. Either people think it's the worst thing in the world, or my old boss called me the other day. He's thinking of changing cars. His Rogue has, 200,000 miles on it, and no transmission problems. So it really depends on how you take care of them and what you do with them. But styling's where this model earns its name. You get the tougher grille, black trim, lava red accents, so bright red. I had to use their term. You get this real tubular roof rack that looks like you could put a pallet of concrete blocks on top of it. All-terrain 17-inch wheels, which is kind of funny. 17-inch wheels are good-sized wheels. But the last few cars that I've driven have had 22s, 24s. I remember when 17s were big, and maybe that's because I've been around forever. Nissan made a few small updates for this mid-year model, but the overall theme is the same. It looks adventurous, even though it's more built for pavement than backwoods, dirt roads, that kind of thing. You're not going to drive the Rubicon Trail with it, or at least I don't think you would want to. Under the hood is a 1.5-liter variable compression turbo engine. It's a 3-cylinder engine. And it's like, really? 3-cylinder engine? It's 201 horsepower, 225 foot-pounds of torque. It's a neat little engine. I mean, it really is. Technology behind it's interesting. It adjusts the compression for either power or efficiency. So there's a lot of magic that goes in place of this. For most drivers, it's simple. It's, Good low-end torque when you step on the gas, decent solid fuel economy. It's paired with, like we said, the CVT transmission, and like all CVTs, it's smooth in everyday driving. Push it hard, and the noise ramps up a little bit, but it's not bad. I had to accelerate fast to get out of a merging lane, and yeah, a little noise, but nothing bad. Again, good low-end torque. Feels good when you're driving it. It's done. They did a good job. It feels. It's sort of weird. Over the years, from the day automatic transmissions first started. In fact, one of the first, I think it was GM transmissions, described as seamless shifting. Well, come to find out, it was really just a one-speed transmission and a big engine. So it really didn't ever shift. And then, they tried to disguise the shifts and make them shift smoother and smoother. And now, with the CVT, you don't really, it never shifts. It's a variable transmission ratio. And but they added in these artificial shift points that make it feel more natural than some of the earlier versions. And Nissan's embraced the CVT like Subaru has and now like Honda has. A lot of vehicles now have CVT transmissions. They're fairly simple by design. If you've ever been on a snowmobile, they have basically CVT transmissions. I think Subaru had one of the first ones in the little Subaru Justy when it first came out. And they tried it for a while, but then they came back and they did more stuff with it. So all-wheel drive is standard. You get drive modes for snow, off-road, and, in between that. Again, I don't see this as a serious off-road machine, but certainly something that can make it all work. Fuel economy remains a strong point, even with the beefier tires and all-wheel drive. You still see fuel economy around town, high 20s, low 30s on the highway. Better than competitors. So on the road, the Rock Creek's comfortable, it's quiet, and just like the regular road, the ride's pretty soft. It soaks up the pavement. Easy to live with. If you want sporty handling, this isn't it. It's practical, it's straightforward, it has comfortable seats, simple controls, plenty of storage. The infotainment system works good. I like it because it feels more comfortable, maybe because I've seen it for a while. I mean, other people, might say, oh, it feels dated. No, I don't think so. I like it. So bottom line, the Rock Creek edition of the Nissan Rogue knows exactly what it is. It offers adventurous styling, good fuel economy, everyday comfort. It's not an off-road monster. It doesn't pretend to be. Well, maybe it does a little bit. But for buyers who want a tough look without sacrificing practicality, it's a solid choice. So Nissan Rogue, there you go. Rock Creek edition, 2026 and a half. Right now, for people who know the little bit of a story about me, I'm in Florida for the winter. Florida's got a lot of critters. Besides, everybody knows about alligators and all that, but there's a lot of other stuff. There's all kinds of rodents and spiders and all kinds of stuff. And the typical way to get rid of all this stuff is to poison them. And poison's not always a good idea. You kill something and it becomes bait for something else, and you hate to think you poisoned a rat and a bald eagle ate it and died, or something. And so there are more environmentally friendly ways to keep rodents out of your boats and campers and cars and all kinds of stuff. We have Scott DeMullen with us from Earthkind. Scott, welcome back to the Car Doctor program.
Hi, John. Well, great to be back. Thanks for having us.
Well, first off, remind us about Earthkind, kind of how it came about and how natural ingredients can keep things we don't want in our houses out of our houses.
Well, I appreciate the question. I think you said it best at the top here just a minute ago, and that's why are poisons not a good idea? And you don't necessarily need poisons. Our founder, Carrie Warburg Block, lived on a farm and wanted to find ways to keep her tractors, her equipment, her children, and her pets, safe from the toxins and poisons, but also keep a protective barrier that prevented mice, rodents, and other pests, ants and spiders and mosquitoes, et cetera, outside of the area that they participated in. So that's where it actually all started. She looked on the shelf and found that 95% of all the products were poisons, chemicals, and traps that, had side effects. And sometimes you're replacing one problem with another, and sometimes that solution is worse than the cause.
Yeah, and one of the things, and you brought it up, is the idea that these are plant-based products to keep stuff away, or botanicals to keep stuff away. I have a relative who, I guess, sort of inherited a vehicle, a Honda CR-V, where I'm not sure where it was for a few years, but it sat for a few years, and it sort of looked like it was a relatively low mileage, pretty good looking Honda CR-V that I think was used as a storage locker because it hadn't been driven, and it had a lot of spiders in it, and who knows what else. And I gave her the spider deterrent, and she had to replace the pouches a couple of times, but first she tried going in there with aerosol sprays, and then she, every time she got in the car, she was coughing because she was inhaling the air, what was left over the aerosol spray.
Right.
But the spider deterrent did a pretty good job of chasing the spiders away.
Well, and you bring up a couple things to unpack there, John. One is that when you have foggers or aerosol sprays, they have side effects, and oftentimes you got to be very careful not to breathe those things, especially if you have children or family members with asthma or other breathing conditions. So it's a very dangerous product to have around. Interestingly enough, spiders do serve a purpose in nature, but one of the challenges is they usually inhabit areas that have insects already because that's what they eat. So they, if you have a restoration vehicle, an RV that's parked for any period of time, they like places that don't have vibration because obviously they sense the vibration in the nest or the web that they weave, and that's how they catch bugs. So you won't see spiders, for example, behind your washer and dryer because of the vibration there, but you will see them in parked cars. You will see them in your RVs, your boats. When you take them out of storage for the winter from the winter storage.
Yeah, and your products are, like you said, they're repellents or they're deterrents. They're not poison.
Really important point. I'll give you an analogy. If you go to the dentist and you have a cavity, you go, well, I'm glad that cavity's done with. Now I can go back to my old ways. But you wouldn't stop brushing your teeth. You wouldn't stop getting your teeth clean. And, traps and poisons, people want proof that it works. So they go, hey, I caught a mouse, so I know it works. The challenge sometimes with products like ours, they tend to work, but people don't see the results because they don't see a dead mouse in a trap somewhere. And so the point is it's preventative. It's not a kill product. And so, number one, you don't have anything to clean up after. And I think the safest cleanup is the one you never have to do. So,
good point.
It's a preventative. It keeps mice and rodents and other insects, oftentimes their sense of smell overrides their sense of sight, and that's how they navigate. That's how they source food or sense danger. And when they can't use those senses, they stay out of areas treated with the products that we make at Earthkind.
And the products aren't. They're meant to be exchanged. In other words, you put a pouch of the rodent repellent in your RV, your boat, or classic car, or whatever it is, but you need to swap it out every 30 or 60 days, right?
Very smart. Oftentimes you'll have a technician or a pest control company who'll come out and spray the exterior of your home. And why do they come back every 30 days? Because eventually that product will deteriorate or disseminate or evaporate, and it won't be as strong, so they come back and do it every 30 days. The same is true with our products, and we're an indoor product, so you will place it throughout your RV. You'll place it in the front and back of your car, in your cab, or in your glove compartment. And the purpose for changing it out every 30 days, our vehicle for distribution is a really powerful solution. It's made up of actual U.S. farm-grown corn cob that is dried and then ground up. It's almost like a potpourri bag, John. And then what happens is we infuse it and absorb oil into it for like 72 hours. And that oil then, along with the balsam fir oil, which is exclusive to our product and the only EPA-registered product on the market, what happens is that it disseminates that scent over a longer period of time. But after about 30 days, 45 days, especially, the more open air, the more often you would want to replace it. But if you replace it every 30 days, you're going to have a stronger scent, and that way the mice and rats won't get used to it. We were at the Hershey RV show last spring, it was last fall in September. And normally it would be worth my while to go to these shows, but I really enjoyed meeting with the customers, people who were collecting cars, people who were driving RVs, people in the automobile industry. And what I found was there was only 2 complaints about our product. And I said, well, I'm curious, how are you using it? And they go, well, we put it in the RV or the collector car, and then we stored it all winter, and we never went back to it until spring. And, of course, your point is that if you don't change them out every 30 days, that scent and the power of that scent will eventually dissipate, and it won't be strong enough to keep mice at bay. So you want to make sure they're used properly, and you're exactly right. Every 30 days is the timeline for switching them out.
And it's probably, for somebody that's got their, 65 Mustang convertible in storage, going and checking on it every 30 days probably is a good idea anyway. So go do that. It's I know a neighbor of mine had a small Ram-based SUV, and he was going to leave it up in Maine. He goes, the only problem with leaving it up in Maine is every time I leave it up there, everything I've ever left up there ends up with mice in it, wherever, whatever it is. And I said, here, try some of this and see how it works. And I reminded him, I said, you need to go and check it periodically. And he did, but he also said to me, I like the scent of it better than, some of the other products that he's seen, because it actually does smell natural and smells good. It smells like, you have a Christmas tree in your house.
It's funny that you bring that up, John, because when I was in Hershey, we had a few people come by who thought that our product was actually an air freshener and didn't realize that it served a purpose for preventing danger and damage to their house or their car or their RV. So it does have a very pleasant smell. We actually sell the product in Canada under the product is called Cabin Fresh, and that Cabin Fresh is used as an air freshener in Canada.
Wow. And one of your other products is a mosquito repellent, insect repellent spray. And, whether no matter where you live, at least in New England, there's no-see-ums and there's mosquitoes and horseflies and all kinds of stuff that wants to bite you. And this stuff works, and it doesn't harm you.
Well, and that's really what's important. Remember, we said do no harm. We want to make sure that the solution isn't doing you more damage than the mosquito bite or the tick bite. And there's been a rapid growth in ticks. There's been people may not realize it, but sharks only account. I think I mentioned this last time we talked. Only about 5 to 10 deaths a year is associated with shark bites. The chances of getting hit by lightning are 1.2 million. The chance of getting killed by a shark is 1 in 4.3 million. But the chance of dying from a mosquito bite is 1 in 4,000. And the danger of that is, they carry they carry West Nile virus and some of these in dengue fever and so forth. There's so many diseases that mice carry, and then you've got ticks, which have tripled in emergency room visits because we're imposing on their natural habitats, and so we're getting more tick bites, and there's some neurological diseases. But if you do protect yourself, the common way for protection when we talk about a toxic product is DEET. And DEET can cause some neurological damage, and also I look at it this way. I was standing next to a woman at a trade show booth, and she goes, I used DEET last week when I was out on my boat, and I didn't wash my hands, and I held my phone, and it literally melted the plastic off my phone.
Yeah,
So if
yeah, I'm somebody who seems to get, I must give off the right carbon monoxide or something because it never fails. I go outside and I get bit by something. And I think I was up to like, the DEET you use if you're, going into the jungle with the, 95%. And, I sprayed it on, my arms and legs and literally my lips went numb. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that can't be good. And then I was down some rabbit hole of, you know, pest deterrents, and someone took, the very common off-the-shelf product with DEET in it, and they used it to kill weeds. And the
Wow.
idea that you can spray it on a pretty robust weed, and 15 minutes later it's turning brown and falling over, is that what you really want to spray on your skin?
Yeah, and especially when you think about your family and your children or pregnant moms, the main ingredient in our product is a 20% picaridin ingredient, and picaridin is a much, much safer product. It is an EPA registered product as well as our rodent repellent, which is the only one of its kind. But it's more of a lotion, John, and you don't have to worry about that greasy, stinky feeling when you put it on your children's arms. It's actually a lotion, and actually it has no scent to it, so it's not going to be, something that smells funny or is greasy on your clothing.
No, I think I have. In fact, I'm staring out the window now at your Stay Away mosquito product and something else I got from like the hardware store or camping store or something. And it's this combination of a lemon oil and something else and something else. And my wife will say to me, don't use that. That stuff smells horrible. And, your product doesn't smell like anything.
Yeah, it's meant to be scent-free, even though we do have some essential oils in there. And you mentioned that it is under our Stay Away brand, where all the other products are under our Earthkind Fresh Cab brand. So Stay Away, and you asked about other insects. It does work for mosquito and primarily ticks, but it also biting flies, which are tough in the spring sometimes, especially if you live by a lake, or deer flies or chiggers or no-see-ums. All of those insects are kept at bay by using the lotion, and it's safe for pregnant women and children.
And, for people that have never really seen what a no-see-um looks close up, if you've ever seen the movie Predator, if you magnify them 1,000,000 times, it sort of looks like that. They have teeth. Seems like they have teeth the size of the little tiny bug they are, and they just kill me. So I have a bottle of your stuff on, each side of the house, it seems like. So when I'm outside, if I'm tinkering with the car or tinkering with my little boat or whatever the case is, whether it's in the middle of the day or in the evening as the sun starts to go down, I give it a couple of sprays. And like you said, it's more of a lotion than a spray. So you spray it on and you kind of rub it in, and it doesn't smell like anything. And so far I've been pretty happy with not getting bit by stuff. So.
Yeah, and if you're a caring parent, the last thing you want to do is put something that might be toxic on your children's skin. And also, if you have pets, it could affect that as well. I know the statistic is that over 1,200 pets a day are sent to the vet because of some poison they've ingested or been exposed to. And the other statistic, if you have children, every 12 minutes, a child is sent to the emergency room for toxicity. And we don't realize sometimes. I know the EPA came out and said that the indoor air quality is 5 times more toxic than outdoor air quality. So I think the last thing you want to do is bring in something, as you mentioned, a poison or a toxic or a chemical that's just going to add to that slew of products, like candles and scents and cleaners and products that are polluting your home.
And eventually, when you mix a lot of scents together, you come up with one scent that smells awful. So, so the idea of, keeping stuff kind of scent-free is a good idea. So if you're putting away your SUV that you drive in the wintertime and you're putting it either in the garage, in the barn, maybe even in a storage unit, or just leaving it outside, you have products that will help keep the rodents away from that. Just go back and swap them out every 4 to 6 weeks. If you're going to be outside working on your car at dusk especially, you have the Stay Away mosquito product to, spray on yourself to, take care of that. And just around the house, I remember after we had you on last time, a woman called in and said she used your product because she had some moths in her pantry, and she put it in there, and the moths didn't come back anymore. So all kinds of good products that are safe to be used around the house. And where can people buy them these days? I noticed the packaging seems a little bit different now.
Yeah, thanks for the shout out on that, John. We did do a package refresh with a branding agency, primarily to update. It's been around for quite a while. So if you're used to looking at the old Fresh Cab rodent repellent or one of the other products, you'll now see a much more colorful packaging. And they can go on earthkind.com. And here's one of the fun things that your listeners will appreciate, John, and that is that we're going to be in O'Reilly Auto Parts here pretty soon. The buyer is a big fan, just like you, and they reached out to us and said, listen, we have a lot of car collectors, and mice and rodents are chewing through their fuel hoses and their wiring harnesses, and they're doing a lot of damage to their cars, especially when they're stored. Over $3 billion a year, actually, is caused by mice and rats chewing through that. So as of June, our products will be in O'Reilly Auto Parts. So when they're there picking up air filters or other products for their cars, they can pick up some of the Fresh Cab rodent repellent as well. But if your listeners are looking for an ant, roach, spider, moth, or rodent, or even the mosquito repellent, if they go to earthkind.com, which is our website, if they enter the code FreshCab, all one word, FRESHCAB, we'll give them a discount or an incentive for preferred pricing to get them started on their journey to protect their family and their property.
And if you want to run out to get it today, you can go to your local Ace Hardware, probably, right?
Ace Hardware, True Value, Do It Best, Tractor Supply. We're under the Stay Away brand in Lowe's, so Menards. A lot of the local hardware stores do carry it, and obviously Amazon.com as well if you want to buy it online.
Perfect. Scott, I want to thank you for taking a little time out of your Sunday morning and helping us educate our way away from bugs and rodents and other things that can ruin our cars and ruin our lives.
Well, we appreciate you being a raving fan, John. Thanks so much for the invite. We appreciate you being here.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. We need to take another break, pay some bills. My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. If you would like to join us, we have a few minutes left. 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. Call in, say hello to Tim, and Tim will put you on the air with me. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
Hi, I'm Peter Brown from Tiny & Sons Auto Glass. Join the Talking Information Center on Thursday, April 16th at the Barker House in Situate as we celebrate an incredible community of listeners, volunteers, and supporters. Enjoy an evening of dinner, entertainment, and exciting auction items while we mark 48 years of providing vital reading services for the blind, low vision, and print-impaired communities. Learn more at ticnetwork.org, and we'll see you on April 16th.
Hi, it's Jim Curran of the Wealth and Wellbeing Show, brought to you by Cape Cod 5. Please join us every Tuesday night from 6:15 to 7 on 95.9 WATD. By demystifying personal finance concepts, from building a budget to estate planning and everything in between, we'll give you the knowledge to start feeling more confident with your money, wherever you are in your financial journey. That's the Wealth and Wellbeing Show every Tuesday night at 6:15 on 95.9 WATD and 95.9WATD.com.
Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name is John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program, and it's unusual for us to have two guests on the same hour, but it just happened to work out that way. But I think it was pretty informative. I know, Scott mentioned something about how many thousands and thousands of dollars people spend on repairing vehicles that have been ravaged by rodents, and it really is true. It's we see a lot of damage, and a lot of people think it has to do with a lot of the wiring today is soy based. So the insulation, instead of being petroleum-based vinyl, is a soy-based product, and people are, well, the rodents are eating the soy because it's a food product. Well, that's not really true. It's not a food product, but it is a recyclable product, and I guess I have chewed on wire before. Sometimes when you're lazy and you try to strip a wire, when I had better teeth, maybe anyway, but does the soy-based insulation taste better to a rodent than the vinyl-based? Maybe it does. I don't know. But you want to keep them away. And Honda had such a problem with it. They even came out with this tape that was encapsulated with like a hot pepper. And so the idea is the rodents would go to eat that. The problem is it was a little kind of after the fact where you put the tape on, and the problem was you put it on after the wires got eaten. So it was like, oh, okay, we'll do that. So we came out with a study this week that said the headlights seem brighter, you're not alone. 6 in 10 drivers said glare is a problem in the dark. There's new style headlights. They're now permitting them in the United States, and that will help, but it's going to take a while. So we'll see what happens, but don't spend the money on the night driving glasses. Most people say they don't work, and ophthalmologists even say that they don't work. Let's talk to Mike in Bridgewater. Michael.
Morning, John.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. I know time is of the essence. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge, I remember in one of your shows that I was listening to, I think it's this Thursday is an anniversary for you when you started with AAA. I think it was back in '84, but I could have missed on that.
You're a little off. It was actually April 2nd, 1985.
85. So April. Say that again, please.
April 2nd, 1985. Okay. So 41 years this April 2nd.
Well, happy anniversary to you. I won't sing it. Second,
all right.
Second, John, I got a friend who has a brand new car, just purchased it, and I said, why don't you look at the AAA wheel package, that kind of thing, key thing that you've talked about. Mm-hmm. Not available in Massachusetts, John?
Not that I know of. Oh.
Well, either the website's messed up, but when I went for the wheel and tire package to look it up, it said not available. Maybe that's something we can look at. We're running out of time.
It never used to be, but
okay. Yeah. Well, that was the latest, and because I was how great it was, and the price was about half the dealership, and keys
it's
wheels,
like
all that.
$550. It's $550, as I recall, is wheel, tire, key fob, and paintless dent removal.
Yes, and I was all set to give her that.
All right.
And
I'm going to send Ted Lyons, who's the guy in charge of that department, an email as soon as I get off the air and say, "Hey, what's going on here?" Find out what the deal is.
And John, I could be wrong here, but that's what I saw at the website. And finally, if you celebrate, I wish you a happy Easter.
Well, thank you very much. Same to you. All right, thanks, Mike.
John.
All right, take care. Let's see if the discount code for Earthkind was Earthkind, as I recall. So there you go. If not, listen to the podcast when it comes up. But I think it was Earthkind, all one word, and you should get a discount. But you can also pick up the product at, like you said, Ace Hardware. Let's see if we can get real quick to our buddy Rick from West Palm. Rick?
Good morning, JP. I'm going to make this quick because I know this time is the essence. Real simple. Brought my 23 CRV hybrid into Honda for oil change.
Does it? One question. Does it go straight now?
Sometimes.
All right.
You have a good memory, but now I'm past that.
All right. So next. You took it in. You took it in for an oil change.
Right. Okay. And then they said to me, fluid exchange service, brake fluid exchange. Climate control.
Yeah, just get the
$800.
get the oil change and move on.
Okay.
There you go.
Have a good
All
weekend.
Right.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Rick. Take care. Bye-bye. We are out of time, so I want to thank Tim for filling in. Great job, as always. And until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car. And if you do see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It's not just a law. It saves lives. Talk to y'all next week. Bye-bye.